right. Well, good evening. What's up? How you doing, Springfield? Welcome to the narrative. This is one-on-one with D Moss, and with me today I have my dear friend, City Councilor candidate, current at-large City Councilor and candidate at this point, Tracye Whitfield.
Hey D, what's going on? Glad to be here with you, as
Well,
always.
we are glad that you're here. And in terms of what's going on, man, we're about to find that out from you because when it comes down to municipal transparency, we know that you're the queen of that.
I try my best,
And we love that, that you do that. We know there's a plethora of information, things that we aren't aware of. There are things happening downtown, and typically we don't hear about it until we read one of your press releases. And of course, when you go live with it and you just share everything, and I love that about you. So for all of our viewers who are slowly coming on, I see numbers starting to pile up. Again, we are on with Springfield City Council. I haven't done this in a while, Tracye. You got to bear with me. Springfield City Councilor Tracye Whitfield. And we're going to talk about some things that are happening downtown, things that we all need to know. And with this being an election season, you really need to know what's happening and find out who's fighting for you. Is this an endorsement of City Councilor Tracye Whitfield? No, this is an endorsement of the people who go downtown and they fight for us, even on the days when they feel as if they're standing alone. And sometimes they really are standing alone. So this is an endorsement of the folks who bring back the information that we need in order to move forward with our daily lives. If you're a homeowner, when you talk about property taxes, she's addressed that. She brought that information to the table, not just to the table, she brought it out to the public. Talk about the ARPA funds. There's just so many things that happen downtown that you guys would not have known about. And thanks to City Councilor Tracye Whitfield, we know about it now. And it helps us to become better, more informed citizens and educated voters. So with that being said, Tracye, are you ready to go, Councilor?
I am ready, Daryl Moss. I just want to thank you for the time that you spent downtown at City Hall. Folks may not understand how relevant that was at the time, but I could say it now. A lot of the information that I got, I obtained from you. Of course, you had your family to take care of and things like that. So folks didn't need to know. They just needed to know that the information was getting out to the community by all means necessary. And so I really thank you for your time and your service. I know that toward the end of your stint, it got tough with all the political things going on at City Hall. But I just want you to know that I appreciated the work that you were doing down there. Whether people know it or not, you were always working for the community.
Thank you, Tracye. I appreciate that. All right. So with all that being said, let's get down to the nitty and let's talk about some of the things that people need to know about now. Tell us what's happening. Tell me where you want to start, and we'll follow your lead from here.
Well, I'm going to start with property tax. I think that property tax reaches amongst all people. And 1 minute, D.
Yep.
It reaches across all communities, all walks of life. It reaches everywhere. So I just wanted to talk about property tax for a moment. During the property tax setting time, it happens during budget season. Budget season starts from January to about June 30th. And that's the time where all of the services that are going to be offered in the city are discussed. And that's the time where some services are cut, some are added, positions are added. And the way that is paid for, a big chunk of that come out of property tax. And so as the budget expenses increases, so does property tax, because it has to be a balanced budget and you have to cover that difference somehow. So a lot of times that happens in property tax. And this year, there was an increase in property tax that I didn't agree with. And the reason that I didn't approve the budget, because it will be the 9th year in a row that property taxes have increased. However, income and wages haven't increased for a lot of our residents in the city of Springfield. Water and sewer bills increasing 6.5%. You guys know I'm in New Orleans, so I have people living here. They will be in and out of the screen, just to let you know that, people with me. But food is increasing. Inflation, everything is just increasing across the board, and the wages are not meeting that. So we had about 46 million of free cash available that we could have really put a dent in the increase that they're proposing for property tax, and the free cash that that still exists was around $10 to $14 million, and we could have put more. The mayor did propose $3 million of free cash go to decrease the property tax, but that's still not enough. There still will be a $9 million increase that will be spread across the board to the residents of the city of Springfield. And what concerns me about it, Daryl, is I get calls from all walks of life about property tax, especially from our seniors. And they're saying that they've lived here, owned their house in the city of Springfield the whole time they worked, right? Their entire lives. And now they're on a fixed income, and a $20 increase or even a $10 increase to their bill takes away from their budget, takes away from them being able to buy food and clothing and other things that they need to keep their house afloat. And so that's a real concern to me, and it should be a concern to the administration, because since I've been a city councilor in 2017, I have been talking about property taxes. I know we have some new councilors on board now that also support not increasing property tax and giving as much support to the residents of the city of Springfield as possible. But for some reason, the administration, I'm going to say Mayor Sarno's administration, isn't hearing it, and they're not hearing it. So it takes more of us to get involved and really just talk about how increase the property tax affect our lives. We have people leaving the city because we have such a high, including yourself, property tax rate that they just can't afford to stay here anymore. So they're taking their money, they're taking the equity in their homes, and they're relocating to a more affordable city or town. And so we want to stop that trend, and the only way we can stop trends like that, because if you've been saying it for the whole time you've been in office and nobody's hearing you, they don't want to hear you. And so the only way to stop that trend, in my eyes, is to change the administration.
I completely agree with that. It's time for change. I think we've had someone who's been there for a number of years, almost 15 or 16 years. And after a while, I don't care how you started, the fire begins to go out, and it's time for a change.
Right.
And that's property taxes. Now, I know that the tax rate for the 2023 fiscal year is $17.05 for every $1,000 of excess value for residential property, $36.40 for commercial. Now, at one point, they said, if they didn't go with this plan, our property tax bill would have increased $575. How accurate is that?
That's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate. That's the increase on average. So not across the board, everybody's won't increase by that, but those who have higher property tax value, on average, will see those type of increases. In fact, the increase to my own parents' property was astronomical, and both are on a fixed income, and they're complaining to me, and I'm like, well, you're preaching to the choir. You got to call the mayor. You got to let the mayor know that you can't afford to stay here, and they want to pack up and move out of here as well. And so it's actually true.
Well, I mean, I seen my mortgage go up almost $400, literally.
Yeah, literally.
This last tax increase. So it's kind of like, what do you do when you're living from check to check? I mean, and when people say, I hear a lot of people say, I don't do politics. I don't get involved in politics. But when you're a homeowner and you see your taxes go up, you see your mortgage impact. If you're paying your tax bills through your mortgage company or through your bank, and you see your mortgage go from $900 to $1,400 or $900 to $1,500 or whatever the case may be, you're involved in the political process at that time because you're being heavily impacted. And for folks who don't know that, on top of your trash bill, you add that, you look at the water bill, your energy rates being some of the highest in the region. It's kind of like, at that point, you really need to become an educated voter. You need to know what changes you need to make. You need to make sure you find an elected official who's going to speak on your behalf and advocate for you. Am I correct in my assertion, or am I off?
I mean, if people say they don't do politics, then they must be living in some virtual reality, because everything is politics. Every legislative law that passed that affects your life is politics. And so if you don't do politics and you're not really educating yourself on laws, ordinances, which are just another name for laws, rules, governance that affect you. So if you don't do politics, then you're living in a bubble, and then you wonder why a lot of these resources don't come to you. It's because you don't do politics. It's because you don't learn about politics or the political process. You don't learn how to advocate for yourself. You don't learn how to advocate for others and your children. It's important for us to be involved in civic engagement. And one reason that I think that they take civic engagement out of classrooms is because they don't want us to know, just like financial literacy and things like that. They take it out of the classrooms and think that we're not going to go and find this education for ourselves. Yet some will bring their own children to different civics class involved in civic engagement and politics so they can learn how to advocate for their communities. And so if you don't do politics, you want to ask me a whole bunch of questions. You want me to help you. What I'm going to do is guide you back to this political platform to help you help yourselves and help others, because everybody does politics. Politics is in every facet of your life, whether it's on your job, anywhere else. This is definitely a political world. So everyone does politics, whether they want to or not.
Okay. TC Donnelly says, it sounds like the mayor is not concerned or empathetic to the needs of the community. Again, Councilor Whitfield is not running for mayor. She's just dropping the information as honestly as she does. So, that's a question that you would have to call 787-6100, and you want to ask the mayor and his staff all about that to find out where he's at with all that, So that's property taxes. Anything else we need to know about property taxes, Tracye?
Just that the budget has been set. I didn't vote for the budget because I seen the increase in the budget. Councilor Hurst, who is running for mayor, is another person that you can tap into if you have some mayoral questions, but he also did not approve the budget. And the main reason I didn't approve the budget is because of the increase to property tax and because there was no budget set for the police commission to be successful. And so those were the two main reasons that I could not support the budget this year. So we were the only two that didn't vote against the budget. All other councilors did. Whatever people vote for is on them. I'm just telling you guys the reasons that I couldn't support a 9th-year increase in property tax in the budget when I know that there is funding that could help offset that. And I'm hopeful that, I'm not even hopeful. I hope, because I'm not hopeful with anything that this administration does. I hope that they will have some compassion and empathy in their hearts for those that may not be making the money that they're making, not living off the means that they're living off, whatever that could be, whether it's backdoor deals or not. I'm just hopeful for the community that we will have more of a, what's the word I'm trying to get to there, that they will give us more to reduce those property taxes. And so it will reduce the burden to our residents in the city of Springfield.
Right. Considering
so that's all I want to say about property tax. But when we vote on the property tax bill, I hope everyone goes out and get educated. But the real time to really talk about it is during budget season, which is already passed. So now we're going to go into October, November, when we actually got to vote on the property tax rate. Unfortunately, I was not given the role of the chair of finance this year, so I will not be heading that process as I've done in the past 2 years. So I'm hoping Councilor Allen, who is now the chair of finance, will bring this education to the community on how property tax really works. He's been a city councilor for a number of years. He should know it like the back of his hand, but him knowing it and not the community isn't doing us any good. He needs to really get out into the community and make sure that this education happens. We're got to vote on the property tax rate regardless at this point, because the budget has already been passed. And that's the next step. It's going to happen in October, November. And that's kind of when people start paying attention, but it's a little bit late at that point. We got to start paying attention February through June. And we got to start making noise during that time. So when we have budget hearings, when the mayor had budget hearings with his department heads, all of this is open to the public. If you can make it to anyone, if there's something that interests you about public safety, look for those hearings, because they're not as broadly publicized as they should be to the community. And that's one thing I hope that if we do change the administration, that more transparency happens in our community as to when things are really taking place and not just be posted on the city website, because people aren't just going to randomly say, let me check the city website today to see what's going on. There has to be other means of getting the communication out, whether you're doing additional mailings. If you can add certain things to the budget, add more money for mailing so we can get the information out to our constituency. And
I'm going to post the link. Well, SpringfieldCityHall.com. As Tracye talks about all this, you can visit SpringfieldCityHall.com. It's a little difficult to navigate at times, but if you have any questions, you can always call City Hall, you call the mayor's office, or you can call the 311 and ask any questions and have them direct you to any department that you deem necessary to get the information that you need. So all the information is there. So I see Michelle Hyde. Hello, Michelle. She says, you're right. The elderly don't have access to this information. You're absolutely correct. You have young couples who do not have access as well. You have struggling families that do not have access to this at all. However, enough calls, enough emails to, Springfield City Council office or to the mayor's office, and you can have people posting that information in enough time for you to get out there and review it and be able to add your 5 cents to whatever it is that they're doing. I think it's absolutely necessary. An uneducated electorate is dangerous because that means that elected officials get to do whatever they please. And the last thing we need is another celebrity in office. So when Tracye says this issue, when we talk about what is it again? The tax rate?
Yes, the tax rate setting.
So there is something you can do about it. There's a primary coming up in September and then a general election in November. There are some city councilors, you have to take a really good look at them. Their job is to provide oversight. They're to speak for us, to make sure the accountability happens so that, everyone from department heads to the entry-level employee at City Hall, to make sure that everyone does due diligence and do the work that they're supposed to do.
Yeah,
that's the role of city councilors, not just to provide zoning and ordinance changes, but to provide oversight. That's why we have this multi-tiered platform that we call city government. So we need to get involved in this process. We have folks who we have never seen. As far as I know, and I've been in Springfield for 30 years, I think you're the first one to actually go public and talk about some of this information. Some folks say it's negative because they don't quite understand it and they just automatically assume that you're attacking the Sarno administration. But when you have an administration that's making those decisions, when they're purposely and determinedly putting out certain types of information, understanding that it's going to have an adverse effect on the community, every city council should be up in arms and make sure that the administration is held accountable, to make sure that anything that happens in the city of Springfield is beneficial to every resident in the city of Springfield. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Councilor.
Well, Daryl, to be honest, I'm going to attack anything that's wrong. And so if they look at the wrong that's happening down at City Hall and me attacking them, they're absolutely right. I've got to do what's best for the constituency that vote me in. And if I see the wrong that's happening, I worked at City Hall, so I know firsthand about the wrong that happens behind the closed doors, firsthand. And so for those who think I'm too loud, don't like the way that I publicize, this is how I do it. I am direct, I'm to the point, I'm transparent, and I'm not going to cover up for anybody. I don't care what favors you think you did for me in the past. I don't owe anybody anything. I'm not like, you hired me. I worked for the administration. I worked there. So I had the opportunity to work there and see firsthand how it worked, but I don't owe you because you gave me that job. I earned that job. This is my skill set. I got in the door not because of any favors. I didn't know anyone when I got hired at City Hall that worked at City Hall. So I didn't get in there. I got in there by my own merits and hard work and the education and things that I learned from different people. And so if I can come before you and tell the truth, that's what I'm going to do. I'm always going to tell the truth. And if it hurts and if it's too loud because you got some deals going on with Mayor Sarno, then that's on you. And that's for something personal for you to deal with. I don't really care what people say about me, Daryl, because if I cared, I would be under a rock somewhere. And I'm never going to be under a rock. I'm always going to speak the truth. And folks don't have to like it. Truth does hurt sometimes. I understand that. I'm not out here to hurt any resident, any constituency. But if it's wrong, it's wrong. If equitable transactions aren't happening, if transparency isn't happening, if education isn't happening, if folks don't have the same opportunities with the same funding as others isn't happening, then I'm going to speak on it and folks don't have to like it. So that's just where I stand. I'm hoping that those who do like it and do follow me and do vote for me and continue to support me, see through the smoke screen that others try to put out there that I don't like this one. It's not about like or feelings or any of that. It's about a job that I was voted in to do, and I'm going to do my job. And it's not going to make everybody happy, but it's not going to be based on any misguided loyalty. It's not going to be because I'm getting something for a certain community. It's not going to be because I'm getting any kickback on deals. It's not going to be because I'm getting paid. It's not going to be because somebody's giving me a job. It's not going to be for any of that. I'm going to do what I have to do as an elected official for the city of Springfield. And if I'm not an elected official for the city of Springfield, I'm still going to do the work because there's always other avenues.
I heard you speak at Pamusa Museum during a political forum when they just talked about the role of elected officials. And you said, if I get you angry, that's fine. If I get you angry enough for you to vote me out of here, that's fine. It simply means I'm going to be even louder on the other side. Is that what you said? To that effect?
It's close to it, D. It's close to it. You know, I just can't sit and be quiet and silent on the things that I see that are wrong. We don't have the correct administration. I don't have any personality feelings against people personally. But if they're doing things that I see that's not fair and not fit, I'm just going to speak to the work. I'm going to speak to the process. It's not personal, it's the process. And if it's not fair to everyone, then it's just not fair.
Well, bottom line is when you when you vote for a candidate and that candidate becomes an elected official, remember why you voted for him or her. Elected officials like attorneys. You vote for them. It's like hiring them to represent you. Their job is to speak for you and to be your voice. We can't always be downtown. Their job is to make sure that your views are represented in every way, form, or fashion. How would you feel if you had an attorney? You go to court, you hired a really good attorney or what you thought was, and you get there, and the attorney is advocating for everyone in the courtroom except for you. That's how your elected officials should be. They should advocate only for you. And I look at Tracye, you do that. So we're going to change this topic and let's keep it moving. I know there are other things we want to talk about. So property tax is critical. If you don't know enough about property tax, Google it. Mass Live had an article. There are a number of articles addressing the property tax issues. Make sure you Google that so you know exactly who you need to be voting for. And this isn't a platform to talk about who's voting and who isn't. Not throwing any names on the table, but we want to make sure that you're educated on some of the issues that you need to be aware of. You want to talk about the ARPA and what's happening with that and give folks an update?
Yeah, I want to give an update from my perspective, Daryl. So, we had a bunch of applications, small business. I'm gonna speak on small business, new business applications and things like that. First, so we had a bunch of small businesses apply for ARPA funds. Some of these disproportionately impacted or businesses. They really didn't know how to apply for ARPA funds. They paid people to try to get their applications in. They applied 2 years ago. The application process closed. Some of those that were paying people to help them get their applications in were not able to because the application process closed without a lot of notification to the small business owners. And then, so I'm just going to talk about some things that's happening recently because I know that this information has been out there, has been told before. But I do want to talk about the outdoor dining applications that opened up the end of April, closed a few weeks later, and then awards went out rather quickly. Now, these are new applicants. This is a new application process, but you still have in-house hundreds of applications, new business applications, nonprofit applications, small business applications that haven't even been looked at. How in the world do you open a whole new process when you haven't even reviewed all the applications that's in? Now let's dig a little deeper because the mayor will tout and he will tout in the paper and he will tout in the media. 85% of the awards went to minority business owners. First, I'm going to talk about minority business owners because I want to speak to minority business owners. See, that includes women. And so when I started reviewing the ARPA applications, I seen that some of the white male-owned businesses, small businesses, changed their ownership to 51% to a female. That was done intentionally because they will fit the minority criteria. And so that's why a lot of times I don't like to use the word minority criteria when we're talking about people of color, even women, LGBTQAI, veterans, people with disabilities, because that word minority is so inclusive that you can figure out loopholes to get your application in. And that was one. They will change the ownership to be able to be awarded the ARPA application and get more preference because of that. And so that happened. And then for the outdoor dining, you see some of these organizations getting 250,000. I mean, some of these small businesses, 250,000 here, 179,000 here, here, there, and everywhere, that just put in applications. Some of them have received ARPA funds in the past, and they're getting these large amounts. So now there's another round of ARPA that's going to come out. People are probably being notified now. And I just want you guys to open your eyes, because a lot of them are getting 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, compared to 250,000, 1.2 million, this and that. So let's not be fooled about the percentages of who the funds went to. Let's look at the dollar amounts. Let's look at the dollar amounts. And I don't have those stats on hand right now, but the average white-owned small business got around 150,000, whereas the, I'm gonna say BIPOC for a term, Black, Latino, Indigenous folk, people of color, got probably like 50% less on average. So we talk about who's getting what. It's like if you're a person of color, you have to get 2, 3, 4 people of color applications to equal this one white-owned male business owner. You know what I mean? So people will be fooled because they say, I got this 30,000, I got this 20,000, and they're happy for that. Do you know how many times that the administration wanted to give some of these businesses 10,000? And I'm like, absolutely not. What they give back to the community maybe is not in a tax return, because maybe they need some more small business technical support or assistance to get their accounting together and things like that. But what they give in donations and free time and the value add that they bring to the city of Springfield, and what they do a lot of times for free, is worth more than the $10,000, even the $50,000 that you're giving them. You know, these are mom and pop shops that want to keep their door open. And I don't think that is fair for this funding that's supposed to go to the most disproportionately impacted individuals in Springfield is not where it's going to. That is bothersome to me. And I don't know how long this has been going on, but prior to me, there was other folks that sat on the ARPA advisory committee, which takes a look at the applications and move them forward to the mayor, and then the mayor decides which ones he really wants to push forward. But I don't know if that was working out. But now that I'm here, I'm struggling, Daryl. I am struggling bad, because Tim Sheehan, who is head of economic development and planning office, is giving me a hard time. He will schedule meetings when I'm not there because he doesn't want my voice. He doesn't want me to see the numbers. You know, it's a political season right now, so they want to give as many Black and Latino and those considered the minority, as many of them money as they can. But look at the amounts that you're getting. Look at what they're trying to buy you for. They think that your vote is just the value of your vote is this little bit of money that they're giving you, even if they're giving it to the churches. Okay, churches, you know, you have discernment to understand what's going on in this political arena. So let's not be fooled by the money that they're giving to the church. This is your money. You deserve it. You shouldn't have to beg or go. You shouldn't have to beg. You shouldn't have to do all these things to get this money that rightfully belongs to you. You know, they got this QCT. That means if you live in a qualified census tract area, or if the organization or small business service people in a qualified census tract area, you don't have to be a minority because qualified census tract. So that's another loophole to give these same businesses that are already rich. They're rich. They're rich. I looked them up. I look up their background. They are rich. They have Hiltons, and they own the Thunderbirds, and they own all these other properties outside of Springfield. So they are not struggling, and they're still getting ARPA fund awards on top of ARPA fund award on top of ARPA fund awards. And we think that, okay, we got this $30,000. Yes, it's a help. And I'm not talking about anybody specifically, but if you feel something, that's your own discernment on the inside. If you're bought for $30,000 and if you're bought for $10,000 and $50,000, then hey, and you feel what I'm saying is target on you, well, then that's for you to get through that, because I'm not talking about any applicant in particular. I'm talking about the process overall and what I see as a city councilor on the ARPA advisory committee. It's not fair, the amount of funds that's going to the Black Latino community as compared to what's going to the white community. And it's been like that. The resources has always been unequitably distributed. And it's time for us to change all that. Everybody deserves what they need, right? It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your friendships. It doesn't matter your affiliations, your partnerships. Everybody deserves to live a meaningful life and get what they deserve as individuals and as small businesses, and what they need to be successful, grow, and scale. I work in the industry of small businesses. There's no one that couldn't come to me that if I can help you or at least guide you where you can get help, I will do that. And it doesn't matter who you are or what race, religion, background, creed, color, like he always says, doesn't matter about any of that. You know, you deserve what you deserve, and everybody deserves to live meaningful lives. So Tim Sheehan now oversees this ARPA process, and he will do things like have meetings when he knows I'm not going to be there, schedule meetings without consulting with everyone to see who's available. I'm pretty sure that they consult with each other, and I'm just going to let everybody know who's on that committee, okay, for transparency. Tim Sheehan, who is the head of economic development, TJ Plant, who is the chief financial officer for the city, Chase Swan, who works in some department for ARPA, the compliance area, Gladys Oyola Lopez, who is the commissioner of, what is it, Daryl?
Isn't she city clerk?
Yeah, city clerk and the voting area, and then me. So I'm the only one that doesn't work for the administration that's on this advisory committee. So right there, that's an unfair advantage. And then they'll put in the paper, like they did in the paper for the restaurant outdoor dining applications. Oh, that was a courtesy. We didn't have to have her on this committee. Well, this is why you guys get away with so much, because there's no transparency. And me being on the committee, I was appointed by Council President Jesse Letterman to serve on this advisory committee. Prior to that, he was on it, and the former Council President, Marcus Williams. And he appointed me, and I'm appointed to do a job. I'm not letting it just slide. I'm not letting these things just happen. I am going to expose what's happening. And Tim Sheehan is what's happening right now. And he is really blocking process and progress.
Can you tell everyone what is Tim Sheehan's role? Just so folks have an understanding of who Tim Sheehan is.
Tim Sheehan is the department head for the Office of Planning and Economic Development, but he's also now the department head over the ARPA process. So his entire team, no people of color, is who review the applications in the first place and give a dollar amount on what they think each small business, new business, nonprofit, and others in that realm should get. On his committee, it's Kathy Bono, it's Geraldine McCafferty, it's Brian Connors, and Tina Quigliano. Is that her name? Tina Quigliano.
Yeah, Tina Q.
I think she got married now, so she has a different last name. So those are the ones who originally go through, make sure all the applications are in compliance, look at the tax returns and say, this is how much they think each business could get. Then it comes to the ARPA Advisory Committee, which is the ones that I mentioned, me, Tim Sheehan, TJ Plant, head of CAFO, Gladys Oyola Lopez, and Chase Swan. And then we look at it and we kind of negotiate if we feel that this application should move forward, if we think they should get an increase, and things like that. And from my understanding, it would be like a blanket vote and everybody say, yeah, we agree, and they would move forward. But I joined and I'm like, hold on, this paperwork ain't right. These things aren't in place. How is this organization doing the same exact work as this organization getting more and this one getting less? How come it seems like Black organizations got to split 30,000, but other organizations or businesses in the same industry get the full 30,000 in one lump sum? Like, some of these things just did not seem fair to me. And I'm like, if one organization is getting 10, they all are, or they all getting 35, or they all getting 50, we're not going to do this. We're not doing this. And so me being vocal, Tim Sheehan, and I'm saying Tim Sheehan specifically, I'm not saying anyone else on this advisory committee, tries to block me from doing the job that I was appointed to do.
Wasn't there an issue with them holding back information? Although you sit on this committee, didn't you have to take the legal route just to get access to information through the Freedom of Information Act?
Yes, I had to put in public records request, and for them to create a barrier there, the city tried to charge me $12,000 to get information that I rightfully should get to do the due diligence of my job as a city councilor. And so I'm not rich. I don't have I love my community, but I don't have $12,000 just to like dish out in order to do this. The first public records request I did pay for. And I thank you for the contribution, D. Moss, for helping me get that information, because I told you that they wanted to charge me like $216 off the bat. You cashed at me $50 to help me pay for it. I ended up doing an appeal to get these public records, and the fees based on the state was reduced to about, I think, 144 or something like that. So I was able, with your help, to pay for that, to get those records that I needed to do some of the due diligence that I needed to do. So I will pay. I will use my own funds, and I thank you for the help, D, at the time, to make sure that I'm doing what's right for the residents of the city of Springfield. And as you can see, I give back to the community in many, many, many ways, but I want to do what's right. And the fact that you will try to make me pay such large sum of money to hide the dirt that you're doing, and I'm going to call it dirt because I'm going to call it what it is, that's just really disgraceful.
Isn't that the equivalent of what they did to Black voters and Black business people back in the 1920s, 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s?
In 2022 and 21, yes, that voter suppression that they try to do to block progress. To block progress. Yes.
If they put up if they did that to you, and you're a sitting city councilor, wow, what happens when someone, just Joe Johnson from the community, attempts to get access to this information?
Well, they're gonna get smoke screens. Like that's all I can say, because Joe Johnson has come to me and said, I did try to call the administration, I did try to call the mayor's office, and I say, well, all I can do is what I can. I will forward the information that you forward to me, but at the end of the day, I don't make those administrative decisions. That is the mayor's administration. They have full reign over that. And but I will do what I can. I will be a voice, and I will stand up, and I will fight, and do the best that I can. But I'm one individual. There's 12 other city councilors. The other one that I know that's out here fighting for us is Councilor Justin Hurst on a regular basis, and the other ones do step up as well when the issues are important to them. But the fight goes all the way. You don't stop when it's voting time on a matter. You want to be vocal, then go all the way and vote it down. Even if it's 3 of us or 5 of us and it's still passed, if you don't want to be vocal on an issue, but then you vote for it, that doesn't make clear sense to me. But people are people, and they do what they want, they feel is best in their heart.
Could I just add 2 cents? People need to understand that when they suppress your business community, it's your business community that tends to give back into the community that surrounds that particular business. So when you stifle the progress or the growth of small businesses, small Black businesses, what you have is what took place on State Street with the dissipation of all those Black businesses that once existed there. They know that a lot of these businesses will close. And it really impacts all of us, because now my child no longer has a role model and a mentor that owns a business right around the corner, someone who may allow that child to come in as an apprentice. Donations to churches, donations to political campaigns, that comes from the business community. So if you wonder why this ARPA issue is so critical, how valuable is a community that does not have its own business block? So a lot of the stuff is done intentionally. I just wanted to throw that in there. I'm getting back. I just had to make sure people understand that it's bigger than the people who have not received funding. It's bigger than that. This is systemic. And we talk about equitable. When we talk about inequity, this is exactly what folks are talking about. Mm-hmm. So I just want to throw that out there. Go ahead.
You know, it's really sad because they will go and they will talk about Councilor Whitfield is trying to stop your application. No, Councilor Whitfield may have put a halt to your application because everything is going to be fair and done decently and in order. So if your application is missing a document, we could be friends and everything, but I'm going to put a halt to it because that's what I would do to any other application. And our friendship shouldn't get in the way of doing the right thing by processes and procedures. So it has nothing to do personally with anybody, and they will try to throw that narrative out there. And so I just want to clarify any misnomer that's out there about what Tracye Whitfield is doing. I am being fair, and we can be friends, and I can like you, I can love you. It could be my own, but if it's not right and if it's not in order, then we're just going to get it right and in order, because that was the promise that was made from the beginning, that if your application was put in and there was more work that you needed to get you to a place where you can be approved, that's what was going to happen. And then that whole process just changed. That was gone, no more, not even talked about anymore. But that's what originally was communicated to the constituents in the city of Springfield. And we got to remember those things. We forget too quickly what we were told and what we were promised. And when they change, now we're like, you know, cats or crabs in the barrel. I don't even want to say crabs in the barrel. I hate that analogy, but we fight for the wrong things and we accept the wrong things in life overall. Like, but I know some of us need it. So I'm not telling you not to get it if you're being offered it. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is
don't sell your soul.
Don't sell your soul, and don't let it taint the person that you are because you got it, right? Still recognize it for what it is. If you put in an application for $350,000 and they want to give you 10 and 20 of it, that's a slap in the face because your need is $350,000. But folks that don't need it for outdoor dining, let's go back to that, don't even have the space to expand outdoor dining. Couldn't expand outdoor dining if they wanted to. Couldn't. Don't have the space, are getting over $100,000 for space they don't have, for a program they don't have. In the outdoor dining application, it says no franchises will qualify for the outdoor dining grant. Yet Uno's and Hilton both got outdoor dining money. This was in the application. This is their rule. So they break their rule when it benefits them. So understand that they don't break their rule when it benefits you unless you go in there and you start doing what they want you to do. So it's a little bit of manipulation there. They want you to speak highly of them, vote for them, put out yard signs, say what they've done for you, post it on Facebook. They want you to do these things. So when you commit to doing these things for them to get what you deserve, you're selling out. Yeah. You're selling out. And that's just what it is.
I have a question because you said something. Now, given you had to put in a request, pay fees to get certain types of information, are you telling me that the administration has been telling residents and business owners that their application has halted or whatever the case may be because of a committee member, and they say your name specifically?
Yes, they said my name specifically. They said, we're trying to give you this money, these ARPA dollars. City Councilor Tracye Whitfield is holding up the process. So if I held up the process, it's because documentation is not clear.
At this point, it's not even about you because you do due diligence. I've known you for years. You do your job. It's not. It has nothing to do with you. It's the divide and conquer. So this is the electoral season. So people need to understand what's happening. This is the type of stuff that happened on the plantation. It happened during Black Codes. It happened during Jim Crow. It happened during the 60s, the 70s, and it's still happening. And voters in Springfield have an opportunity to do something about that. If we thought what took place at Nathanville a few years back with that Mississippi-style beating by the police, the off-duty police officers beating up those brothers, this is on the same level because they're suppressing your growth and they're choking you financially. So people need to understand that. So instead of us focusing on the process that has been severely, oh my God, exploited, they have it so that we're attacking a city councilor who happens to be Black because they're not doing due diligence. I just need people to understand what's happening so they can see the bigger picture. I'm sorry, Councilor, go ahead.
I just want to come out here and just tell the truth and what I'm dealing with, because it's really disheartening to try to do a job for everyone, because everyone has applications in, and then be stifled from doing that job because they want to hold meetings when they know you can't be there. They want to hold information. They even went as far as deleting a file. They deleted a file so that I wouldn't have access to it. However, I took pictures of the file before it was deleted so they could know that I knew what was there in the file before they deleted it, and then they had to reinstate that file. So they have been doing things like that the community might not be aware of, and then you can't always believe everything that's written in the media, because certain media outlets are going to err on the side of the administration. So they're going to give the administration's perspective first. I'll say Sarno's perspective first, or his team's perspective first, and then say what the city councilors say, even if I brought the information to their attention. So we got to look beyond the smoke screens. We got to ask our own questions. If you don't understand something that's being written, ask. Don't just take their word for it, because they still have a position that they need to support, right? And they're going to support the position. What I like about you, D, if I send you a press release, you just post the whole thing, So here's my words. Let me let y'all hear what she's saying. But some media outlets will just take snippets to support their own article instead of writing everything verbatim, telling the whole truth based on the way I see it, especially if I'm bringing the issue to the table. You know what I mean? It's okay to get both sides, definitely okay to get both sides, but tell the truth about it. Tell the entire truth about it, because if you interview me like you're doing right now, I'm going to give them the same information that I'm giving you, that I'm giving anybody else. It will not change. But I'm just going to ask folks to really look through the smoke screens, look through what's being asked of you. Why would they ask you to do something like that? You shouldn't have to go to a mayor and he said, well, if you support me, put my signs down. He's doing this because he was voted in to do a job also. Do your job. Just do your job.
I've received emails from people who said they were turned down for ARPA funds because of their relationships with certain Black folks in the community who weren't in alignment with the mayor. Have you heard anything like that?
Oh, yeah, I certainly have, from people who were turned down. And they know why. They went to the appeals. I looked at their applications and I'm like, wow, you definitely should have qualified for something. And then some of the denial letters didn't even give an explanation of why. None at all. I think Katrina Banks, who may have made a comment, got a denial. She's a Black therapist. We don't have many small businesses, a Black therapist in the area that could have really benefited from ARPA funds and keeping her business right in the city of Springfield, was denied. I saw her denial letter and there was no reasoning. So now I'm questioning it. And sometimes I get answers and sometimes I don't. Sometimes they won't answer me at all. There has been many emails that I send it. I include all of the counselors and I get radio silence from everybody. It might be one or two counselors that speak up here and there, but it'd be like radio silence. We all have a responsibility to constituents that vote us in to make a little bit of noise. We are not here to be yes people. We are here to do what's right.
Absolutely.
So it's a little disheartening doing the job. It's thankless at times, but I know in my heart of hearts that I'm doing the right thing, and I'm going to continue to do the right thing for our constituency and for the people of the city of Springfield. And anything that I can expose, I will. I definitely will. The other, I think one point that I want to make is the personnel review committee. is made up of 3 white men. That is Tom Ash, who's the chief of staff, that we don't talk about nearly enough in his background and what he's doing behind the scenes. A lot of these decisions come from him also. He is the chief of staff, but you don't see him so much in our community like you did when Denise Jordan was the chief of staff, right? And TJ Plant is also on that personnel review committee, and Bill Mahoney, who doesn't live in the city of Springfield, another white male, all makes the how much folks are going to get paid decisions, if they're going to get an increase, what's the increase is going to be. That is an unfair process in itself, just by the nature of being run by 3 white males. Where is the diversity in the decision making? Where's the women, right? Where is the BIPOC representation? How are you going to get fairness out of that process when they're all sticking together in the first place?
Wow.
That's the personnel review committee. And then finally, D, because I know that our time is winding, but I want to talk about the police commission and them not having a budget. Okay.
Talk about it.
So the police commission is supposed to have their own budget by way of the consent decree. That's what the consent decree mandates. We all know what the consent decree is by now. If you don't, please get involved in politics and look that up. But the consent decree mandates that there's a budget for the police commission. And so during budget season, I'm like, where is this budget? The CAFO himself said there was no budget. We didn't have any decisions about a budget. And he said it on more than one occasion. That's TJ Plant. I want you guys to start knowing these names so you can recognize them when you see them and understand what they're talking about and understand what their roles are. He is over the finance of the city of Springfield. He said there was no budget on several occasions. It's taped. It's taped in some of our budget meetings, and there was no budget for the police commission. So the day that we're supposed to approve the budget, we're talking about the budget process, and the mayor gets in and say there is money for the police commission, is woven into everybody else's budget, is woven into the law department's budget, it's woven into the police department budget. First of all, that's a conflict in itself because of the oversight of the police commission in doing the hiring, firing, and disciplinary shouldn't be tied to the police department budget. Like, right. Well, that's policing itself. Same type of concept, right? And right. It's woven into this department, but TJ never said that prior to this day. And he never said that until it was written into the Mass Live article. This was never said when we asked direct questions on where the police commission budget is. There was none. There was none. So I go to the Department of Justice to find out if it was supposed to be, and they sent it to me in writing. So it's in the consent decree. So when I brought that up, they were like, well, who'd you talk to? I spoke to this one. You can give them a call if you want to, because I'm not making anything up. But they're supposed to have their own separate budget. And TJ, as the CAFO, he said they didn't come to me. Well, did you go to them, TJ? Because it's your job. They don't know when to come to you. If you have never sent a department a budget document, they are not going to know how to build their budget on their own, right? They are really not going to know what to ask for in the budget. This is what the finance department is there for guidance for people who just may not know, especially when you're a new commission, what to ask for and how to go through the budget process. So for me, that's something that the CAFO and the mayor and the chief of staff, Tom Ash, should have definitely made sure happen, and the police commissioner, if we want to go down the line. They should have ensured that this was happening as part of the consent decree. And you should also know what's written in the consent decree.
Right. But they're relying on an uneducated voting block to keep this stuff happening. If we don't know, there's nothing people can do. So I appreciate all the information that you're sharing. I hope that the people who are listening, I hope you take this information and I hope you share it with everyone that you know. Now that we know it, we all have a responsibility to get this information out. You know, share the video, let people hear exactly what she's saying. If people have questions, call City Hall. 780-6000 is the call center. 780-787-6100 is the mayor's office. Tim Sheehan's number has been posted, 787-6020. Call these people and ask all the necessary questions. If I had TJ Plant's line, I would put that up too. But you have to call these folks. Mm-hmm. And you have to ask the questions. I tell you, from working in the mayor's office for 12 years, I can tell you straight up, he get more than 10 calls dealing with the same issue. They respond. Doesn't take 1,000 people, just 10 people working together, just 10 calls, 10 letters, 10 emails. Don't send letters, send emails. When you send an email, make sure you CC all the media and the city council. Just letting you know. So we have a few viewers on Facebook, got quite a few on YouTube. Look, spread this information, man. Let people know. Because I tell you, come September, when you go to vote in their primary, you need to know every city councilor that is willing to talk as honestly and as earnestly as City Councilor Tracye Whitfield did tonight. Everyone should be sharing the same type of information. I'm going to throw names out there because she can't, and I'll probably get in trouble. People talk about how much they love Jesse Letterman. Jesse's not downtown advocating for you. You need to ask him these questions. We invite him to all the cookouts. He gets a free black pass for whatever reason, I don't know. But he needs to be held accountable. Every black city councilor, aside from Tracye Whitfield, ask them the same questions. The white ones, Sean Curran, that's my guy. Ask him these questions. Mike Fitton, Catering Walsh, Tim Sheehan, Tim Allen. You need to be contacting these folks because we vote for them. And once they're there, they need to represent us. So there shouldn't be any type of situation where we only have two city councilors, Tracye Whitfield, Justin Hurst, who are always going to war on our behalf. And we're not there. We need to show up. I don't maybe talk about the times where we did show up, but we need to show up. And we need to make sure that the city knows that we have their back.
We got to show up.
Go ahead.
I mean, there's one thing that I have to talk about, Daryl, and I'm going to say it right here, and it's Juneteenth. Most folks know I'm part of the Juneteenth Jubilee Committee. We have been hosting events for the past 3 years. We started the flag raising of Juneteenth. Prior to that, Juneteenth has been celebrated. I have to give the brethren their credit when credit is due. I have to give Jalupa Productions their credit when credit is due. I have to give Dream Studio and Ben his credit when credit is due. I learned about Juneteenth through those avenues, through Jalupa Production when my children was little and they were acting in plays at the museum through Jalupa Production. So I'm not going to say that there was no awareness about, thank you to Ray Jordan, may he rest in peace, for bringing Juneteenth awareness as well, and all the brethren. But as far as the mayor supporting any type of flag raising for Juneteenth, it was non-existent. For the past 3 years, the Juneteenth Jubilee Committee has done a flag raising, including this year. This was our 3rd year. And so it was a very disrespectful and divisive move, and for anyone who supported that move to go ahead and create a separate Juneteenth flag raising. See, we start our ceremony off with the Juneteenth flag raising. We don't end it with it. So it was very disrespectful to turn around and create another divisive flag raising and not attend ours. Was invited. All elected officials in the area was invited. He didn't attend ours. That's a smack in the face. Are you too good to come to the community that has the Black voice and the Black people living predominantly in that community? Are you too good to come to our flag raising? You know, are you too good for that, Mayor? Did you have to create your own because you think you're better than us? Or was that just a political divisive move on your behalf to create a separate flag raising for Juneteenth? That was disrespectful. It was distasteful. It was dishonorable, because if we came to the Italian community and tried to create another flag raising, all hell would have broke loose. And that's with any community. We tried to do a separate Latino one. If we try to do a separate Greek one, but we allow this to happen and we support it. That was very, very, very disgraceful, distasteful thing to do. And those who joined in on it, shame on you. Shame on you. I'm just going to leave that where it's at. And if people get upset with me, well, good, because I'm upset with you also for joining into that malarkey. That was just crazy. That was a divisive thing to do. You're pitting Black people against Black people because you might have showed up to this one and not this one. I'm not mad at anyone who couldn't come to ours. It's on a Friday at 12 noon. It's not a holiday. Folks got to go to work and things like that. Understandable. But don't create something separate to get political, as a political move, to get votes and be divisive to my Black community. I'm Black. So that really hurt. It was hurtful. And I called the people involved just to let you all know that it hurt me and not the mayor, because that was disrespectful. So he lost 100% of my respect doing that, 100%. I had a little inkling of respect for him. Now I have none. And then the others that were involved in that flag raising, I called them personally because I don't have to air that dirty laundry in front of everyone when I can call people individually and personally and let them know how I felt about it. And they were made aware of how I felt about it. We don't let folks come in our community and do that to us and divide us. That is not something that we should allow as a people. And those who support that type of those who support those types of actions, really think about that. We cannot go into any other community and do such a thing. Why would we allow that in our community? So I couldn't leave without talking about that because I held it in for a very long time. I did a little post on Facebook, but I really want you guys to understand how hurtful and disrespectful that was to our community, to the Black community, to the slave, to our ancestors. Like, yours is better than ours? Yours is better than ours? You can't even show up and support us? You never thought about doing the flag raising for Juneteenth before. But this political year you do. And when I say let's look through the smoke screens, I mean that. Look through the smoke screens of what's happening, folks. And don't jump on bandwagons because of your loyalty to some other political leader. Don't do that. Like, we got to think for ourselves. I was invited to that and I said, there's no way. There's not one person that could get me to go to that flag raising because it was divisive and it was distasteful. It was disruptive, and I'm not falling into any of those traps. So that was
completely unacceptable. So on a cultural note, folks, you heard it straight from the councilor's mouth. Spread the word. Let people know there are some things that there are quite a few things we are not going to tolerate. And if we don't move with one voice, we're going to stay on the bottom. It's time to move forward. Our time is up. Councilor Whitfield, I want to thank you so much for joining us this evening. I had a ball listening to you. Listen, I know I love to rub my mouth, but I tell you, when you speak, I shut up. So, with that being said,
thank you for this platform. I hope everybody do get out and vote. I know that this is a nonpartisan platform, but I hope you get out and vote. No matter who your person is, your vote is your voice. Learn politics, folks. I didn't know it. I didn't know it before I became a city councilor. I knew of it. I knew certain things from working at City Hall, but I didn't know it. But now that I'm getting to know it, there's so many opportunities that we are missing because we are uneducated. So many. And I'm out in New Orleans working for you all because all these resources that I'm bringing out here, yes, September 12th, that's the primaries, but all these resources that I'm learning in New Orleans and California and other areas, I'm bringing them back to Massachusetts and Springfield. We have to grow our economy. Small business is one of the biggest pillars to grow your economy. But if you're not getting the equitable resources that you deserve to scale up and to grow, to get your technical assistant, your accounting, your legal, your marketing, all that together, those are the things that we should be focusing on for our small businesses. That's how you grow and develop. But those are the hidden secrets that they're not going to tell us about. But I will. So I'm going to learn them, and I'm going to learn them for all of us. And then when I know it well enough to share it, I'm going to share it with all of you. So when I come to these information sessions on my Facebook page, if you can make it, please make it, because there are people in the room that's much more smarter than me. It's networking opportunities up the yin and yang that you wouldn't believe. And once you start networking, ask Rizoki Rise, ask somebody, Katrina Banks, who's taking full advantage of these opportunities, and one opportunity leads to the next and to the next. And by the time you turn around, your business has grown 10-20%. So take advantage of these opportunities, these business development and personal development and networking opportunities. And it's not about liking me or the person that I am. I don't care if you like me or not, but I want you to show up for you and show up for your family. And that's it.
So just a quick note, it is okay. We don't want to give them over. We want to give them too much because hopefully we'll have you back before September 12th. Random thought, folks should only back individuals who champion change, not those who prefer institutional recognition. We have a number of Black elected officials who are more concerned with institutional recognition. They want to be the mayor's buddy. They want the mayor to know that how much they like him and love him. We don't need elected officials like that. We didn't fight to get people opportunities for them to get down there and just they're okay with just sitting next to master. We got to change that. So again, process needs to take a much greater precedence above the personality politics. If an elected politician isn't genuinely serving the community, it doesn't matter how much you like him or her, they're elected for no other reason to serve their constituency. We are their constituency, and if we don't demand they serve us, they won't. With that being said, thank you for tuning in. One-on-one, D. Moss, special guest, Tracye Whitfield. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out, but we will be back. Much love to you, and thank you for tuning in. Share this video so other folks can learn as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. Appreciate you.